If NASA astronauts had to choose a smartphone, it would definitely be the one inside this box. Ulefone has emptied its wallet with this new creation, the Ulefone Armor 29 Ultra. And in fact, they've put the most expensive and durable components that currently exist in this sector, and they've created a real beast. 12-core processor with ray tracing, a battery that lasts more than a week, military-grade protection, up to 3 terabytes of universal flash storage, 4.0 memory, 1-inch Sony sensors, ultra-bright display, finally. And some unique trick on the market that you'll see next. Okay, it's not for everyone, especially considering it weighs more than 600 grams. But for those who want to have the most technologically advanced meteorite in the world, you're on the right planet. In this video, you'll see clips recorded with this Armor 29 Ultra in environments as wild as this smartphone. You already know that I like to record outside the workbench too, even if the water is frozen at this time of year. But as you can see, the unboxing of this beast is definitely on par with its size. What I liked most is that they include the 120-watt charger in the box. But you can already see the design, it's spectacular. On all its edges, it's made of metal, rubber, and glass, and you'll see more of it throughout this video. I'm going to test it by hand under extreme conditions. If I drop it, the floor might break instead. Of all the rugged smartphones I've tested on this channel, this one is likely a step above the rest. Not just in terms of its design, but also what's inside, which you'll see later. You can see a microphone, an excellent speaker, and a USB Type-C 3.2 Gen 2 port. You can see the flap confirming its IP68 dust and water protection. This corner has a hole to insert a strap and hang it, like on a technical backpack. And this metal structure has grooves for better grip. It features an orange textured camera button that's flush with the frame. There's also a fingerprint unlock button and 2 round volume buttons, which I really like the design of. On top, there's an infrared sensor, a slot for certain tools, and a 3.5 millimeter headphone jack. Thank you, Ulefone, for continuing to include it. Obviously, a port like this couldn't be missing from this phone. On the other side, there's a tray for 2 5G SIM cards and also for a micro SD. You can add up to 2 terabytes, which, considering the 1 terabyte it already has inside, would be up to 3 terabytes of storage. And, well, it also has a customizable button with a certain texture and those pins to add more professional gadgets like endoscopes, for example. This would be very useful for certain professions, no doubt about it. In your hand, it feels like a technological giant. It's not for everyone, but if you've made it this far into the video, it's because you already knew that. Let's just say it's the price you pay for having this beast. And now let's get to my favorite part of these kinds of videos, which is that I'm going to put it to the test in an extremely frozen river. How well does the protection of this Titan that looks like it's from another world really work? Well, let's find out. I got it wet in every way, but honestly, it performed well. There weren't even sensors or the usual fog. So it's well protected, it's good material. You can tell they've invested quite a bit of money here. So how does the screen work when it's completely wet? Also, with this really cold water, I expected the controller to go crazy. In my video about the iPhone 17 Pro Max, which is much pricier than this, the sensor would malfunction when the screen was wet. But as you can see, this Ulefone Armor 29 Ultra works perfectly fine, even when the screen is wet. Check this out, even the rear secondary screen works perfectly when completely wet. Without a doubt, for certain professions, this attention to the components is something that could be very useful and get you out of more than one tight spot. But let's talk about the screen of this beast of technology, because here, Ulefone hasn't spared a single euro either. And we're probably talking about the best screen that exists in this type of rugged phones. Here, it's a 6.67-inch AMOLED screen at 120 Hertz with 2200 nits brightness. That peak brightness is very rare to see in these smartphones, but it makes more sense here than anywhere else. Since these smartphones are mostly used outdoors, the extra brightness is appreciated. It's a 10-bit display with 375 pixels per inch, making it full high definition plus. And the result of all this is that you have the best screen on a rugged phone for watching content, for viewing all kinds of multimedia. Honestly, it looks amazing. Plus, notice the slim bezels. You know that this type of smartphone usually has extremely thick bezels, and this Ulefone Armor 29 Ultra has made them much slimmer. Still, you can already compare it with my phone, a Vivo X200 Ultra. This smartphone, which looks like something from NASA, is nothing like the regular smartphones we use. And let's say that's the price you pay for its design, which makes it practically indestructible, and for everything it has inside, which is what I'm going to talk to you about now. I really liked how fast its fingerprint sensor is. You can see how well it works. You can lock it with a double tap but not unlock it. I hope future updates add that feature. Everything feels fast, not just due to 120 Hz, but also the interface. I've reviewed many Ulefone phones on this channel, and honestly, they've really improved them. We're talking about a 4nm processor. The Dimensity 9300 Plus was top tier a year or two ago, and is still the most powerful chip in this type of phone today. It features 16 GB of LPDDR, 5x RAM, plus up to 16 GB virtual RAM, and 1 TB of UFS 4.0 storage, expandable by 2 TB. And it also adds a layer of graphene, which helps keep it pretty cool, not just because of the processor, but also because of the battery. And with that powerful charging capability, it helps lower the temperature by a few degrees, which is always appreciated, especially to extend the lifespan of this smartphone. Also, it would come with stock Android 15. It has various tools to measure decibels, for example, even atmospheric pressure. This feature is rare on other smartphones, and the secondary screen is fully functional and customizable. It has an AMOLED display, just over an inch, with up to 600 nits brightness and 60 Hz. Pay attention, because smartphones usually need the headphone cable as an antenna to listen to the radio. But that's not the case with this Ulefone Armor 29 Ultra. Especially those of you who live in Spain, you already know that, for example, during a blackout, the radio becomes essential to find out what's happening outside. Therefore, for these extreme cases, it could be a good smartphone. It's not just the wireless radio, but also the battery, which, as I said, can last over a week. But let's move on to another interesting feature of this smartphone, unique among this type of rugged phones, and it's those LED panels it has on its back. You can see it already. There are hundreds of LEDs, both white, red, and blue, all fully functional, underwater, even if it's frozen. You can see their appearance in these microscopic shots. It's easy to plug in, and you can select just red or blue. For example, at night, I usually use the red light a lot, and honestly, it's really nice that it can be fixed in place. Plus, it lights up a lot. I wish I could adjust the brightness for all lights. You can only do this with the white light, not the flashing red or blue ones. You can view all its settings. It also warns not to point it at your face, as the brightness can be dangerous. This is useful for certain professions. For example, those who work in night environments or are at a campsite at night and so on. It works great and lasts a long time because of its battery. So you don't need to worry about the battery dying quickly, even when using the flashlight at full power. How do everyday apps like Instagram work on this hardware? It's very fast, works well, and can run any app easily. It's probably the most powerful, rugged phone on the market right now. Both the Wi-Fi, which in this case is Wi-Fi 7, as well as the data, global positioning system, Bluetooth, and so on. Everything has worked very well. I did expect the vibration motor to be a bit stronger, though. When it comes to gaming with this processor as of today, you can run any game with a high frame rate. With this ultra-bright AMOLED screen, the powerful speaker you'll hear and its graphene sheet make it perfect for this. The only drawback is the heavy weight of this Ulefone Armor 29 Ultra. And now let's move on to a section that has pleasantly surprised me. especially because of the hardware itself. And that's its cameras. Main sensor, in this case, a Sony IMX 989 1-inch sensor, in this case 50 megapixels. In addition, it has a 64 megapixel night vision sensor and a 50 megapixel ultra wide angle sensor. Its selfie camera is also 50 megapixels. On paper, everything seems fine, but the camera interface is messy. The ultra wide angle is in one section, the main sensor is in another. Both have 4 times digital zoom, and the HDR is also in a different section. Something really strange. Also, Pro Mode would only allow an exposure of 1/5 of a second. Now let's go to the samples. Of all the rugged smartphones I've tested this year, this one probably takes the best photos. That doesn't mean they're good, but for this segment, it's decent. I wasn't a fan of the zoom. However, the main sensor, ultra wide angle, and macro done with the ultra wide angle are all quite good. The tones are a bit more vibrant than they should be. That said, the HDR is excellent, and the dynamic range is impressive, especially for a smartphone not meant to be a photography powerhouse. Now then, let's talk about video, and I actually like this too. To my surprise, video test with the most beastly phone that Ulefone has released to date. Stabilization has improved on screen based on what I see. Also, it's getting direct sunlight and it looks really good, which is appreciated. Here's its stabilization and microphone quality. At this full high definition resolution at 60 frames per second, and this is how its resolution would be at 4K at 60 frames per second. This is the best smartphone I've seen in this segment for photos and videos. Even so, keeping in mind that these phones are not meant to stand out in that area. And watch out, because it can record in 8K at 30 frames per second. It's one of the few rugged smartphones that's capable of recording at this resolution. And this is how it records in total darkness. I assure you, no smartphone could capture anything here. There's not a trace of light. And look, for example, at how you can read this book. Even if you get close, it's as if it were broad daylight. It's in black and white because of the infrared technology. The detail is excellent and it focuses perfectly. For tasks requiring very low light, this sensor exclusive to this smartphone performs very well. (21,200 milliamperes), basically nothing. Some power banks have less capacity, and this one also features 120-watt fast charging with a charger included. This means that this smartphone can last you more than a week. Also, I like that in the battery software you can limit the charge to 90%, but it does lack wireless charging. Let's hear how it sounds. Despite having just one speaker, the audio is impressive, and the 3.5 millimeter jack is a nice bonus. By the way, if you go to the sound and vibration option further down, there's a small sound improvement. In this case, I recommend that you activate it. And now this is how the speaker of this Ulefone beast sounds. In terms of power, that's exactly it. A beast. All right, it's time to talk about the price of this Ulefone Armor 29 Ultra. And being the best smartphone from this brand comes at a cost, and here you can see it. It was just over $987, now it's $901.74 on sale. Plus, you can add a $100 discount coupon and maybe get a gift. So, when it comes to utensils, it's not bad at all. Further down in the video description, I'll leave you the purchase link. After all, you're paying for the best. From Ulefone, you don't usually see these processors or these sensors, and also not this much power, the best RAM, the best memory. In this type of rugged smartphones, and to sum it all up, if you want the best rugged smartphone on the market right now, it's this one. Without a doubt, I hope you liked this video. I can assure you that my hands froze while making it. And now, more than ever, after this downturn that YouTube has given to us veteran content creators, which has reduced both our views and income by 50%, I ask you more than ever to give me a like, to share this video and to subscribe if you haven't already. Because it's important to make YouTube understand that these videos, which are so different from the rest, have a lot of work behind them, and I think it would be good if they valued that. Since I know that if you do it, I can only thank you and tell you that I'll see you in the next video. Best regards and see you soon.